I still have some mementos from that part of my childhood. Um, my grandfather, who I spent a lot of time with because they babysat me, he still worked at Goodrich. I remember he retired in 1955. And I remember being amazed that he had to get up at 6 in the morning. And my grandmother got him up at 6 in the morning, and she prepared a breakfast for him while he was getting ready for work. He was a foreman at B.F. Goodrich. When he retired, he had been there without missing a day due to illness for 36 years. So this was his ID that he wore to get past the guards and into his job, B.F. Goodrich. So I've kept this for a long, long time. And here he is in World War I. He was a doughboy representing Ohio. And by the time he got to France, the war was just about over, but it was still dangerous. My mother, again, she had lived in that house with her parents until she married my dad. So she goes from our little girl to Mrs. Coe in one ceremony. But, soon after that I was born, and again, for the first 3 or 4 years of my life, I'm playing a lot at my grandparents' house. Had my own toys there. But she had some dolls, baby dolls. Some of them were like china, faced with fabric and stuff. But this is one she gave me. Actually, she gave me several, and I think I only, the teddy bears, there are a couple of teddy bears that lasted until a few years ago. I think they got waterlogged when the basement flooded. But this, somebody sewed this, I don't know who. My mother played with it, she gave it to me. Still got it.
Her name?
I don't know if I ever named her. But we'll get to names later. After Akron, my dad graduated. And he rose among the ranks of employees at Firestone. And Firestone had a division in Newcastle, Indiana, out on the high prairies. It was called World Bestus, and they made brake lining for maybe cars and trucks both, but brake lining for the slowing down of cars that had Firestone tires on them. And my dad was in sales, so that was his first sales job, selling brake lining to auto repair shops and auto dealers. So this was Newcastle, Indiana, and it was by the time we moved out there, it was probably fall, winter 1953, 51, 52. My first memory of life in that town, we lived in the bottom floor of a 2-story house. The owner lived upstairs. His name, I believe, was Mr. Boyd. We lived, again, it was a traditional 2-story house, had a garage in the back, had a backyard, had rose trellises and clotheslines for my mom to do the laundry with and stuff. And I remember it was nighttime, and I was walking with my dad as he was he's rolling the wheel of an automobile. Apparently he had gotten a flat tire. Maybe he'd picked up a nail on the road or something. And we were rolling it to, I'd imagine, a gas station or an auto repair shop or something to get the tire replaced. Why we were doing it at night, I guess maybe he found a place that was open, but I'm tagging along with him, and he's just rolling this thing on the floor. But another special memory, Mr. Boyd occasionally consented to join us for our family dinner, and I got the honor of going up the interior stairs of the house and knocking on his own door, telling him dinner's ready and escorting him down to the dinner table. That was always a special thing. Probably didn't happen all that often. We really didn't live there all that often because then my dad bought another house on the GI Bill out on a street that Midway Boulevard or Midway Road, I think it was called. It was on the west side of Newcastle. It was a new build, a new development out in the country. We lived on a dirt road. The terminus of the dirt road was a sand and gravel pit, which I wasn't allowed to play at, but I played at, because I remember rolling down the wall of the pit at one time, and it was probably only 8 or 10 feet, but it felt dangerous. But this is we were the first families to live in this house, along with every other house on the road. Most of the homeowners, they were single families. Most of them were of the generation that had served in World War II, and they had all bought their house on the GI Bill. Behind the backyard, there was an immense cornfield, and there was then another pasture that was fenced in with ponies in it. And at the far end of that pasture was a drive-in movie theater. So at night, if you squinted, you could actually see the movie play out on the screen. You wouldn't be able to hear it, of course, but that's what imaginations are for. And there was a time where my next door neighbor, Bert Jr. was the son of Bert Sr. Bert Jr. and I went up to the fence because we saw a couple of girls riding their horses or ponies towards us. And we probably asked them if it was okay if we could feed them, and they said sure, because they were probably just teenagers themselves, maybe even younger. And so the corn was high enough and mature enough that it actually had ears with corn on them. Now, this wasn't sweet corn from the garden. This was what my mom always called horse corn, field corn that kind of went into feeding horses and pigs and cows. It was like for grain. So we would just kind of peel an ear off the stalk of corn and aim it towards the horse's mouth, and the horse very carefully nibbled around our fingers so we didn't get hurt. But that was always a treat. And one more memory I have from that, and these are live memories, by the way. I suppose my imaginative memory might be enhancing these, but these are things that I know happened to some degree. Bert Jr. and I had a sand pile between our houses. In fact, it was between where the cars parked. They'd park on a gravel pad, and then there's a sand pile. I don't know why it was there. Maybe they got it for us to have a sandbox. But we're shoveling. We got our little shovels out. Bert was a little excitable, and he managed to shovel a lump of, I don't know how much, maybe, it was more than a mouthful, let's put it that way, more than a mouthful of sand in my mouth. And of course I started crying. And our moms came out, and my mom took me into the bathroom to wash me up and get me to vomit the sand out of my mouth. And Bert's mom probably gave him a switching or something like that. And we were only neighbors for about a year. I'll never forget Bert's thrashing, but I'll also never wonder or ever stop remembering where he ended up, because we were about the same age. We might have had parallel lives in college and in the Army and stuff. Who knows? But there was the incident with the ice cream peddler. It was usually a high school boy that had a freezer chest on a frame of a bicycle and had a ringy-dingy bell, and he'd roll down the dirt street of Midway Road, and kids could come out, and their moms had given them nickels and dimes so they could buy fudgesicles and drumsticks and goodies like that, novelties, ice cream novelties. Well, my mom did not give me a nickel or a dime, and I picked up some gravel from the dirt road, and just like the other kids, they put their nickel and dime down on top of the freezer. And I put my 3 or 4 hunks of gravel on top of the freezer. He very contemptuously glared at me and brushed them off, and I didn't get any ice cream. But finally, I remember my babysitter. I'm 4, and she was probably 14 or 15, who knows. But they lived 2 or 3 houses down the other direction. And I do remember her dad had an artificial leg, so there's a possibility that maybe he had lost his leg due to a war wound. But either way, she's babysitting me. She's outside the house. Somehow the door got locked. She needed assistance. She thought, well, it'll be great. I'll crawl through the bedroom window and unlock the door, which she ended up doing. And when she came out, she confronted her boyfriend who had helped her get in through the bedroom window because she had gotten a slight scratch on her leg, and she pointed to it and confronted him and said, "Now look what you made me do. You scratched my leg." Well, for some reason, I remember that. But Newcastle, this is the house where my first sibling, Becky, was born.